I know in most of our markets we don't, but I can tell you in Arizona we have a lot of credit turned down. So to give you an idea, we actually had our fourth credit turned down. That's our fourth one in 10 days. Since Phil has been on the street now for 2 months, he has now had 8 credit turn downs in 2 months. Okay. For us, that's normal here. So over the years, I've learned to try to find ways to overcome that a little bit the best I can. So here's what I would tell all of you. When you're in a house and you have that funny feeling, or you could just do it, period. But especially if you get that feeling that this may be a credit turn down, what I typically will tell everybody before I run their credit is I'll sit there and ask them, hey, look, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, out of curiosity, if for whatever the reason we're not able to sit there and secure your financing today, where would that put us? And let's find out what they have to say. Okay. Number one, we can try to sit there and get money from their 401k if they have a 401k. That's one thing. But the other thing that you can do that, and this is the deal that we sold 2 weeks ago, we were able to get a deal this way, is pay attention when you get into the house and watch to see if these people are smokers or not. Okay. If they're not smokers, and especially if they have children, there's a pretty good chance that they may have life insurance. Okay. A lot of people do not realize that you can borrow against your life insurance policy if it's a whole life policy. If a customer is a smoker, chances are what they have is called a term life policy. A term policy you cannot borrow against, but a whole life policy you can, depending on how big the policy is and how long they've paid into it. So to give you an idea, the 2 expeditions that my wife and I bought, one of them I still have. Both of those I bought through my wife's life insurance policy. Okay. For a couple reasons. Number one, the interest may be a tad high, but the good thing is when you pay the loan back, then you're paying yourself back. So the $57,000 at the time, and this was back in 2008, the $57,000 that we spent for one of the cars, the trucks, by the time I paid it back, the $9,000 in interest they were charging me, in the end, I only paid $9,000 for it. Now, my wife won't see the benefit of it because if she dies, she ain't going to see it, but I will. So I get to pay myself back. That's number one. Number two, there is no insurance check for that. Okay. All a customer has to do is literally pick up the phone, call their life insurance company up, whether it be, I don't know, New York Life or somebody like that, and say, hey, look, I have a whole life policy. I would like to borrow X amount of dollars against it. Can I do that? They'll look it up on the spot and let them know yay or nay. If the answer is yes, there's one form they typically have to fill out. And then once it's signed, the life insurance company will send out a check for the entire amount. Usually you get that within 5 to 10 business days. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay. So the $16,000 deal that Phil sold 2 weeks ago, that's actually how he sold it. He had a feeling that this may be a credit turn down, started going through this conversation with him. Turned out that it was, in fact, the TD, and we weren't able to secure their financing. Customer made a couple telephone calls real quick, and 9 days later, we received the check. The customer got the check, and we were able to put that deal together for the $16,000. So something that you guys can look at and explore. Again, we can all say that we don't hardly have a lot of credit turn downs, and I get it. But on the off chance that we do happen to have one in each one of your guys' markets, that is a direction that you can go. And again, no credit check. There is no time frame to pay that back either. So if a customer wanted to pay it off right away, cool. If they didn't want to pay it off right away, it doesn't matter. All that's going to happen is if they pass away before the amount is paid off, they're just going to go ahead and keep X amount of dollars of that from that loan that you took out against it, and then the insurance policy will pay out the rest. So that is an option that you guys can exercise and look at. I would strongly suggest that you do that because there is some deals there. I know here in Arizona, like I said, over the years, I've had to do that quite often to be able to get a deal bought by using one's insurance policy, just so you know. But again, the average person does not know that they can borrow against their life insurance policy. A lot of people don't know that.
Terry,
So,
there's no payments required when they do that?
no, typically there's not. What they're going to tell you is, hey, look, we're going to loan you 50 grand. We're going to ask you to pay 60,000 back. You need to go ahead and pay it. And you send that pretty much in whatever it's going to be until it's paid off, man. So that's the great thing about the insurance thing is there's not really a set payment that's due. It just depends on who your insurance company is. But I know New York Life doesn't do that. I know that American doesn't do that. And I've got policies through both of them right now. So there's a lot of things I buy through my insurance policy or through my wife's policy. I can't do it on mine because I'm a smoker. So I have a term life policy. But if you get a whole life policy, you can borrow against a whole life policy. So usually the one thing that keeps people from having a term or a whole life policy is smoking. So if you see they're smokers, chances are they have a term policy. Okay. The difference between term and whole life, for those that do not know, term runs out in a certain time period, a certain term, if you will. A whole life policy doesn't run out unless somebody stops paying the bill. Okay. So against those type of policies, you can borrow against. It's just a matter of how big is the policy and how long have they paid into it in order for them to be able to borrow against it. Okay. And I've bought in a lot of crap over the years through my wife's life insurance policy. So why not? Because in the end, I end up paying myself back. So really and truly for the product, I'm just paying for the interest for it. So I bought a close to $60,000 truck for 10 grand. Now my wife will never take advantage of that because she'll be gone when she dies. But I did though. So that's a hell of a way to sit there and try to get somebody to buy something is through their life insurance policy because we can pitch that they're paying themselves back. Okay. Any questions about that at all? All right. Very good. I would look into that, guys. That's what I do anytime I run credit. I always ask that question I was just telling you guys now. If for whatever the reason, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we're not able to go ahead and secure your financing today, where would that put us? Is there other options that we have? 401k. Let me ask you, I notice you're not a smoker. Do you have a life insurance policy? I'm assuming it's a whole life policy if they say yes to it. How long have you paid into that? What's your policy worth? Check this out because you could possibly borrow against it. And here's the great thing about that. No credit check. It doesn't hit their credit. None of that. Because again, they're going to get their money back when the policy gets paid out when somebody passes. So it's pretty easy to qualify for it. Pick up the phone and make a phone call. Very good. Okay, cool. So nice job out there, Seattle. It looks like you guys had a nice show. Again, I was telling everybody 18 appointments set, 6 follow-ups. So hopefully now we can take these 18 appointments and the 6 follow-ups, and this will turn into a healthy week for us, I hope. Before we get started on things, I want to go ahead and talk about these home shows real quick, since these markets are now starting to get into home shows. We're trying to Salt Lake. I'm trying to get you into the March and the May show that's out there. But for the most part, MSPs, you guys need to be taking care of this. So, Portland, I know you have one coming up in February. So I'd like to see which other ones that are coming up. And there are some others out there in Seattle that we can go ahead and get into. I understand most of you guys have had home shows that did not work out very well. Part of the reason why they didn't work out very well is because they were cheaply put together. Our booths weren't looking good and all that. For a last minute thing for what Kate and them did out there, your guys' show, Kate, looked really good out there for all last minute. It was really, really sharp. Came out to be real nice. So good job out there with that. Cody, let's you and I get together today, no matter what. Let's start getting your show together today. So we'll be ready for that show coming up in February here in about 3.5 weeks or so. Okay. So I want to make sure we do that. Mark, we need to jump you in here and we need to start getting into these shows. So shows number one, we've got to get these things booked out a year in advance. The earlier you get into them, the better choices of booths that you get and the whole 9 yards. At the same time, too, I don't want us to worry about whether we're staffed for it or we're not. We just need to get in them, get these appointments set. We will get people out there to help run leads and help you work the show. Mark, in this case for you, for example, if I've got to get Phil out there, if I've got to pull somebody from Seattle out there, and I got to pull one from Portland out there, we can sit there and pull one or two, one person from each location and get them out there to you to not only work the show, but at the same time run the leads that come from it. So push comes to shove, our SWAT program can do that. But what we have to do is we have got to get in it. Okay. Right now, we're not, and the Western region has not done a real good job at all about getting into these home shows. We have got to get into this stuff. Corporate is keeping score, and we have got to get in it. And we're severely, severely, severely underperforming for this. Okay. At the same time, too, when you get these home shows set up, MSPs, even though you may have to pay for a lot of these booths right now, if you reach out to Mark Helmuth and you let Mark Helmuth know that this charge needs to come up at a certain month, he'll push that charge off to show on your numbers. So in this case, for you, will be February, or if you have one coming up in July or something like that, even though you're paying for it now, those numbers for the cost won't hit your books until July. Okay. He can push that off that way. So MSPs, even though you may be getting 3 or 4 set up right now, get Mark Helmuth the months and all that and send it out. He'll push those charges off. So your EBITDA and stuff like that doesn't get hit for this month. Okay. So I want to make sure that we get that taken care of for this week. I'm more than likely going to have a meeting with all of my MSPs on Wednesday. So what I expect between now and Wednesday is to let's get online. Let's find out what home shows we have coming up. Let's make sure we have those answers for us when we jump on that phone call to start getting these things planned and start getting these booths worked out. Okay. What we're going to need. Ideally, I would prefer a 20 by 20, ideally. Worst case scenario, a 10 by 20. But ideally, I would prefer a 20 by 20. A 20 by 20 will allow us to put a few more things in there and to make more room for the show. For you seniors and the juniors also, look, you cannot shy away from these things. You have to be in the shows and be helping with this stuff, because I'm telling you, a home show, you can really, really get well pretty fast, especially if the show goes off real well. So again, I'll be very interested in wanting to see Seattle, what your numbers are like. But that's a nice start. 18 appointments and 6 follow-ups is one hell of a nice start. So not bad for something that's put together at the last second. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Okay. All right. Any questions about that before we get going? Anybody have any questions about the home show and how that would work for that matter? Very good. Let's get into it. So it appears that everybody on this phone call is good to go on steps 1 through 4. Looks like we're all good to go on step number 5. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Does everybody feel comfortable with our first 5 steps?
Yeah.
Terry, are you
Everybody does.
going through the step 5 so that we can see it actually executed?
Yep, I'm already starting to put those videos together for you, just so you know. I wanted to have those out by the end of last week. However, with me trying to catch up on stuff and then the doctor's appointment that jumped in kind of made things a little weird. But I am getting that for you guys, and I've already started the filming with that. Phil and I have been working through that towards the end of last week, just so you guys know. Okay. So I'll have those out here pretty fast. I'll get them to Cody, and then Cody, you do whatever it is that you do to edit this or that, or however you want to do that. And then get those out. That'd be awesome if you're good with that, brother.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody seems to be comfortable with steps 1 through 5. Is that a yes or a no from everybody?
Yeah.
Good. Then let's find out. Let's find out. So do me a favor. Everybody put your notes away. And let's get out a piece of paper. Question number 1. Name the first 5 steps in order. So question number 1 is name the first 5 steps in order. Question number 2 is the purpose of step 3. Not what you think it is, but as it has been written. What is the purpose of step 3? Step number 4, or question number 3, what is CPA? What does it stand for? Number 4, what is the closing question for step number 3? I'll give you a real easy one on the next one. Question number 5 is name the different types of frames. Number 6, closing question for step 4. Question number 7. Question number 7 is name the closer types for a double hung and a single hung window. What type of closers are there? Number 8, what is the hot button question? Number 9, what is U factor and solar heat gain coefficient, or SHGC? Number 10, what are the 3 closes for the entry? And number 11, what margin do you start at when presenting price?
Can you repeat 11, please?
I sure can. What margin do you start at when presenting price? What margin percentage do you start at minimum when presenting price?
What is it?
And number 12 is going to be a volunteer thing. One of you one of you will volunteer or get voluntold, one of the two, on how to give the pre-close. And the rest of us will look at that and critique that. See where we're at on this. I just want somebody to sit there and be able to say it that thinks they know it. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to be able to go ahead and answer those questions.
Three.
Aim the closure times from a single number.
Mark. So
And if it means anything to anybody, I just got 4 million coins on my thing here.
Nice work, Terry. Good job. Nice work.
Hey, Terry, can you tell us number 12 again, please?
Number 12 really and truly is pick somebody here to give us the pre-close.
Warm up. Oh, number 2, I did that's right before the CPA.
What was 2, Terry?
Number 2 is the purpose of step number 3. What is the purpose of step 3? While you all are doing that, I hope everybody had a good weekend. I was a little bummed to see Detroit sell out the way that they did, for those that watched the football game.
Yeah, they
Closing question. Hey, Terry, no, question 4 is the closing question for which step?
Number 3,
Three.
good sir.
Closing question. It's not a hot button.
And for those that wanted to know, as you all know, I had that doctor appointment it does turn out that I am officially getting old, is what they're telling me.
What? Impossible.
Bastards. The good thing is he didn't say ancient. However, the word he actually used was seasoned. Personally, I'd rather beat that guy to death with a banana, but I couldn't hardly sit there and argue with him.
Yeah, because if you did, you would throw your neck out again.
Well, yeah, there was not a lot I could sit there and say other than he's right. I'm getting old.
The answer is, can you see those in your home? But what's the wording on question 6 again? Sorry.
That's all good, brother. Don't worry about it. The question on the question is, what is the closing question for step number 4? Closing question for step number 4. I'll give you a hint. It is not, do you want to buy it, pal? Just in case anybody was thinking that.
There's a vector and so.
And for those of you who finish, so we know you're done, if you'll just stand up on the table. Okay, fine, be that way then.
What is what margin you start at representing price?
Closing question on number 4. Hey, Terry, question 4, please.
Question 4 is, what is the closing question for step number 3? Closing question for step number 3. I'll give you a hint on that one too. It is not, do you want to buy?
Gary, do you want, for number 10, do you want all 3 closes written out or just the names of them?
Say that, you said number 10?
Number 10, do you want them fully written out, word for word, or just the names?
Next. Just the names is fine. So there's a pretty good hint right there for those that may not have known that one.
I know, it was starting to remind me of the Mr. Robinson's hair.
Yeah, right. Well, it's been like that.
We were getting volume.
Start calling Gavin cool and.
Even taller.
I guess so. Yeah. Oh, no. This is Sicilian. Did you watch that? No, I don't. Oh my god. You should definitely watch it. Okay. Yeah, it's Sicilian. It's kind of a bit short. So that's real. That's
Is there anybody that is not finished yet?
And then another second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Not a problemo.
Usually be like. Like when you come out of your office, and what do you like? Run back. Horrible. Far.
Yeah.
Oh, Rich got she has my chart. It's like a messaging service for like different hospitals and doctors instead of her having like.
Hey, Tim.
Yep.
Kind of gave up on this one, but can you tell me what, if you want to clarify what question 7 is asking?
Question 7 is, what type of closer types are there for double hung and single hung windows? Anything else I tell you beyond that will give you the answer.
All right.
But there are types of closers. What are they called?
If there's not something on that.
You're not talking about locks, are you?
Not locks, the actual closer themselves that causes the window to go up and down.
Yeah. Honestly,
Okay, I think I know what you're asking now.
she drives it, she's just driving like cruising around, so I'm driving like. Yeah.
It's gonna be so fun. I'm never really some down too.
We should all go sometime, like even if it's for like at night or something, just go out and camp overnight, and I mean. It's only a 2-seater, so I can't take everybody for rides, but we'll just take turns and I'll just
So
go.
we can go to places where we can rent, like I'll hop on a dirt bike. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
the dirt bikes
or
aren't
an
in
ATV.
sand, but ATVs aren't bad, I mean, the rentals kind of suck, but.
I didn't really rig paddles like on ATV.
When I saw you,
I know I'm not common battles and they're shitty and they have blinders turned on and everything, so like you can't really get after it. And there's a special area where you can't rent like a banshee and just. No, they're like shitty little automatic like Polaris's.
Is everybody finished?
Yep, I think so.
Who is not done?
I never say.
Oh, never mind. Looks like Jimmy, you still working on it?
No. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's exchange papers. We shall go over this. Mark, you do not have anybody. So guess what? You get to use your answers, brother.
Okay, deal.
rotating to this way, that way, random?
I
Doesn't
think
matter?
just switch, I don't think it matters.
Yep, random it out, random it out.
There's too many words on there.
There's a lot of words on here.
Oh, I have it, I just forgot it's in my budget.
Okay, here we go. Number one, Mr. Mark Pelessier, we will be using yours. Name the first 5 steps, good sir.
Entry, warm up, inspection, company, pieces, parts, and product.
Does everybody believe that bullshit he just gave us?
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be correct. Nice one, Mark. Number
Hey,
2,
Jerry.
Mark, what is, yes,
Terry, are partial answers, is that a thing, or do they have to get 100% in order for it to be right?
no, this is pretty simple one here. There are only 5 things to call them. So yeah, no partial
I
answers.
just mean in general, throughout all of them, I just mean like, it's either all or nothing, right? You don't get a half a point? You don't
No,
get 80? Okay.
it's either all or nothing. We are not throwing hand grenades or playing horseshoes. Number 2, Mark, what is the purpose of step 3? What do you have written there, good sir?
To show how woefully inadequate their home is and that it is costing them money on a daily basis.
Okay. Cody, read me what you have in front of yours. In front of you.
To show them their windows are woefully inadequate and in need of repair.
Okay. Cam, what are you reading in front of you?
To show how shitty their windows are.
I guess in layman's terms, that would be correct. So that is a wrong answer. So the answer is to show John and Mary their home is woefully inadequate and in need of their immediate attention, and that the condition that exists is costing them money on a daily basis. That is what is written out, and that's what we need to know. If it is not that, the answer is wrong. Number 3, what is CPA, Mark?
Company, products, and affordability.
CPA would be company product affordability. That is correct. Closing question for step 3, Mark.
Is it safe to assume that if you found all of those things in a company and it didn't put you in the window poorhouse, that your window shopping experience would be over?
Somebody help him out with that. Is that correct? Jimmy, read what you have in front of you, brother.
I'm going to, which question number was it again? Number 4?
Number
Okay,
3 or number 4. What is number
yes,
4?
if you find all these things in a company, then it would be safe to assume your shopping would be over. Okay, same thing written down here.
Ari, read what you have. Somebody help him out.
Step 3?
Yep. What is the closing question for step number 3?
Would you agree that your windows will be costing money on a daily basis? Doing something sooner rather than later may be a good idea.
Okay, that's getting closer. So the closing question for step number 3 is a 3-part question, right? Mr. and Mrs. Customer, doing something, or would you agree, based on the window, the condition of windows are in, obviously doing something, replacing windows is something you're going to do someday, correct? Would you also agree that the windows are costing you money on a daily basis? Would you agree with that? So that being said, doing something sooner rather than later would be the better way to go if possible. Would you agree? We certainly want to stay away from the word of a good idea.
Oh.
Good idea is suggestive. So obviously replacing your windows is something you're going to do someday. At the same time, too, would you agree that the condition of the windows are costing you money on a daily basis? So doing something sooner rather than later would be the better way to go if possible. That is the answer. Number 5, Mark, name the 5 or name the different frames.
Aluminum, vinyl, vinyl plus, right? Fiberglass, wood, and composite.
What kind of composite?
Well, RBA.
Right, and that's what we want to make sure we're saying. Because remember, the Duracast fiberglass product is also a composite as well. Okay, so we have aluminum, we have vinyl, and there are 3 different types. We also have wood, we have fiberglass, and then we have a wood composite called Fibrex, which is a product put out by Renewal by Anderson. But the Duracast fiberglass material is a composite as well. Okay. Number 6. What is the closing question for step number 4? What do you got, Marky?
So based on what you've seen here today, is Apex the type of company that you could entrust your home to?
There's your answer right there, guys. Based on everything I've shared with you about our company, is Apex, does Apex sound like the kind of company you would entrust your home to at the very least? So, number 7, name the closer types for a double hung and a single hung. What do you got, Mark?
I think I figured this out when we at the end there, but constant force, block and tackle, and the spiral balance. That's all that I know.
Okay. Is there a 4th one? Anybody?
Boys.
You have some bullies if you get, so that would have a hard time.
Well,
Yeah.
I put ones of course.
Does anybody have a 4th one?
Ropes and
So-
pulleys. Wait.
Isn't that block
You-
and tackle?
You have the lead counterweights. That's the biggie, right? For you guys up north that deal with a lot of wood windows, you got the lead counterweights, with the cotton ropes. You got a self-lubricating spiral spring. You got a constant force tension coil. And then, of course, you have the block and tackle pulley system.
So the ropes,
Those are the-
ropes and counterweights is not a block and tackle system?
Negative, it is not.
Hmm.
Thus the name counterweights. Block and tackle
is
will be
it?
completely different.
Spiral string, yeah.
Ask the question again. Who asked that?
Okay.
The self-lubricating spiral string is on wood, you said, or which one is that usually seen?
A self-lubricating spiral spring is what it is, like spring, summer, winter, and fall. Spring. That's going to be on your aluminum windows. Typically, that's on your aluminum single pane windows. That's the one that's got the pipes on the side with the little spring that runs down inside the pipe. A self-lubricating spiral spring. You see that on almost all single hung or single pane aluminum windows. Okay. Number 8, what is the hot button question? Mark, what do you have for the hot button question?
When you take your old windows out and put your new windows in, what do you want your new windows to do for you? And please be specific.
Oh my God. Okay. Jimmy, is that bullshit, right? Help him out.
Wait, what's
Do
that?
what? Help him out.
Yeah, so I didn't hear exactly what Mark said, but it's when you take your old windows out, put your new windows in, what exactly do you want your windows to do for you? And please be specific.
So that's-
Holy shit. Diana, you want to help him out or is that correct?
It's verbatim specific. He's got it.
Yep, the answer's right. Good job, Mark. Okay. Mark, what is U factor and what is solar heat gain coefficient? What is that?
U factor is this is not going to be verbatim, this is how I describe it, but U factor is the measure of the ability of your windows to keep the conditioned air inside your home. And solar heat gain coefficient is the amount of heat that is able to pass through the window or through the glass package into the home. And it's the decimal is like a percentage.
That'll work. So in layman's terms, everybody, your U factor describes the heat that is escaping in the wintertime. Your solar heat gain describes the amount of heat coming into the house in the summertime. Okay. Remember, U factors and solar heat gains in windows are graded based on heat lost or heat gained. Your U factor is what you lose in the winter. Your solar heat gain is what comes into the house in the summer. Number 10. What are the 3 closes for the entry, Mark?
Special trip, waste of time, open mind.
That would be correct. Number 11, Mark, what margin do you start at when presenting price?
50%.
Does anybody here disagree with that? 50% you could start, but we want to be at a bare minimum of 42 to 44% minimum. So 50% is fine, Mark. Okay. We want to be at 42 to 44% minimum. We need to be at least that. Okay.
Yes.
And number 12. Let's see here. Pick a volunteer to give the pre-close. Who feels comfortable with giving the pre-close in front of everybody?
I'll try it.
Okay, check this out. Mark,
Yeah,
pick a number 1 through 10.
7.
Oh, you're it then. That was it. That was pretty easy.
Oh, hell,
So-
I'm serious.
The number was 7. So, Mark, way to sit there and be a good picker. All right, give us the pre-close. Let me hear it.
I'm-
Mike, you're looking at, we can see you're looking up something. Stop.
I'm
You're very
looking
obvious.
at
Yes.
my notes here. I just literally, I'm not even sure I'm not even sure if I'll be able to do this, so.
Well, the good thing is I'm not in your office. You're there by yourself. So if you mess this up, nobody gets to beat the shit out of you. In the other
That's true.
offices, people get pelted with stuff. But in your case, the only thing we get to do is call you naughty names. So let's hear it.
Well, I mean, other than kind of recapping everything that they're doing.
Now, let me hear the
What?
pre-close. Pre-close. Step 7, pre-close.
All right. All right. Well, we're gonna do our best here. So yeah, shit, I'm choking. Sorry, guys.
All you got to do is read
Other
what's
than
on your
price
little
or
piece of
payment,
paper.
is there any reason why we can't, come together on a deal while I'm here today? That's kind of like, is that what you're asking for? Are you asking for like the whole?
Well, I don't know. You tell me what the pre-close is. Step 7 is the pre-close. So verbatim, let me hear it.
That's all I got, guys. Sorry, I'm joking.
That's all you got. All right.
That's
Does
all I
somebody
got.
here want to help? Who wants to help him?
I'll try it.
All right, let me hear it.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, based on what we've seen here today, replacing your windows is something you're gonna do, correct?
That would be
And,
correct.
So if there's 3 things I can do for you today, or I imagine the only thing keeping us apart from an order today would be price, correct?
Yes.
So there's 3 things I could do here for you today. 1, give you a price that's fair and honest for the product, the service, and the warranty that goes along with it. 2, put a payment on your table that's not going to put you in the window poorhouse, take bread and butter off your table. And 3, give you savings that'll, show you tremendous savings, doing something sooner rather than later is the correct thing.
Is there any reason?
Is there any reason we couldn't get together on a order today,
I'm here.
That's
other than price?
that's pretty close. Who wants to help him? That's pretty close. Good one, brother. That's a good one.
Nice work. Nice work.
Who wants to sit there and go next? Awesome. Hey, Shadow, you try it.
Can't, sorry, not there.
Not
I'm
correct.
like,
All right, let me hear it then, Miss Diane or Miss Michelle.
So, obviously, we've seen a lot here today, and I think the only thing that's really gonna keep us apart today is money, right?
Yes.
Right, so, If I can do three things for you while I'm here, if I can show you an offer that you believe to be fair and honest for the quality of the product that you're getting, the services associated with it, the gosh, I'm looking out too. Dang it. It's my- so, for, what? Well, yeah, no, it doesn't take bread and butter off the table, doesn't put you in the window poorhouse. And show you a tremendous savings by partnering with us sooner rather than later. Can you think of any reason why we can get together on our order today while I'm here?
Okay, good one. Let me see here. Hey, Cameron, I saw you put your hand up. Let me hear it, brother. What do you got? Hold on, let me make sure that was you. Yep, that was definitely you.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Customer, obviously, based on what we've seen today, replacing your windows is something you're eventually gonna do someday. Would that be correct?
That is correct.
So if I can do three things for you while I'm here, if I can put a price or payment in front of you that is fair and honest meaning the product you're receiving, the type of service and the warranty, just to name a few. Two, if I can put a price and payment in front of you that doesn't take bread off the table. And three, if I can show you tremendous savings by doing this project sooner rather than later, would there be any reason other than price that we wouldn't be able to get an order together today?
Yeah.
Good
Good job.
Yeah.
That's better, Cameron, for sure. That's better, Cameron, for sure. Double J, let me hear what you got, brother.
Okay, so replacing your windows is something you're planning to do someday, as you said earlier, correct? And so
Correct.
I imagine the only thing keeping us apart is the money, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so if I can do three things for you while I'm here. One, put a price in front of you that you believe to be a fair and honest price for the product that you're receiving, for the type of service installation and the warranty, everything that comes with that. And then the second thing would be to put a price in front of you that, or put a payment that fits within your budget, that doesn't take bread and butter off the table. In other words, doesn't put you in the window poorhouse. And then third thing is show you a tremendous savings by doing something sooner rather than later. If I was able to do that, is there any reason other than, or is there any reason we wouldn't be able to find a partnership here today while I'm here? Something like that. These were
Really good after the last sentence.
Yeah, it's a Robbie.
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking close, Jimmy. That's pretty close. Nice job. That was the closest of all of them, and you were pretty much right on the money. So everybody, good effort on there. Obviously, doing this in front of everybody, things can get a little weird. You know, you put people on the spot, and all of a sudden things get a little bit funny. But that's a nice job, Jimmy, Cameron, Alex, Michelle, all of you. So to recap, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we've talked about a lot of things today. Obviously, replacing your windows is something you're going to do someday, because that's what you told me earlier. Is that correct? Yes. Awesome. I would imagine then the only thing keeping us apart would be the money. Is that correct? Yes. Great. So if I could do three things for you today while I was here. Number one, if I can show you a price that you believe to be a fair and an honest price, fair and honest, for the type of product you're going to receive, the type of installation that goes along with that, and the warranty of service and the service that goes along with that as well. At the same time, too, if I could fit a payment in your budget that doesn't take bread and butter off the table, something that's not going to put us in the window poorhouse, as we talked about earlier. And third, if I can go ahead and show you a tremendous savings by doing something sooner rather than later, would there be any reason other than price or payment why we can't get together on this order today while I was here? Or would there be any reason other than price or payment why we can't get together on this partnership today while I was here? That's what we want to say. Jimmy, that is almost on the money, dude. Nice job. Nice job with everybody. But the closest one here for sure was Jimmy. Nice job, everybody, though. Close. Again, tough to do this out in front of everybody while everybody's watching and you're getting browbeaten over there. So nice job, guys. Everybody, you did good. Mark, we might want to work on your part just a smidge. You know, same thing, Shadow. We might want to work on yours just a little bit, brother, just a little
Yeah.
bit. But overall, there you go. So total up how many we missed, and we will take it from there. Mark, how many did you miss?
With the 11 or the 12?
No, we just put the 12th up for pretensies. Yeah, the
Okay.
12th one.
Then I missed 2.
You missed 2.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Cam, how did we do? How did you guys do over there?
Yeah.
You factor in the, it's that.
Norm, how many did Cam miss, Norm? Okay, so Cam missed 0, is what you're saying? Cam, how did Norm do?
Actually, this one was like. Two of the.
I didn't hear you, buddy. You missed 3? Okay. Cody, go around your room. Michelle, how many did you miss, Mia?
Michelle, what was your score?
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10 for Michelle.
Okay, Shadow,
8 out of 10.
Jimmy,
I got 11 out of 11.
False. No.
That's,
That's right.
huh?
So you got what's wrong with that.
I know, that's what I thought, that's what my teacher says. So,
Tanner, how'd you do there, buddy?
I have 10 out of 11.
And Diana?
I had 6 out of 11, so not super awesome, but didn't fill out all of my answers correctly.
Okay, Miss Pebbles, how did you do, Mia?
Yes.
I got 10 out of 11. Oh, there were 12. I got 10 out of 11.
Okay, Rylan?
Okay,
I
Five.
shanked that shit and got 5 out of 12.
Okay, Alex?
I missed 1.
Cameron?
11.
7.
Ari?
9.
Kate?
11. I'm 12.
Cody? I didn't ask you yours, sorry about that.
I got 11 out of 11.
Nice, okay, so clearly some of us need to sit there and kind of peek at this a little bit more, but overall, appreciate everybody's participating in that. Okay, so let me get rid of this. Hey, you're a pretty good guesser, Mark, to sit there and guess 7 like that, just so you know.
Yes, 7 what?
Well, I said pick a number 1 through 10 and you picked it on the money. That's pretty
Oh,
good.
yeah.
You
Hey,
know,
shouldn't I get a point for that?
well, I can tell you this, if you can get that and 5 others correct like that, I'd like to be able to talk to you about the drawing this weekend, just so you know. Okay. So let's get back into the closing now. So step 8, which is the close. Okay, so rule number 1, when we're getting into the close, first off, is we've got to make sure that we start with a 42 to 40%, 44% margin right away. We have to be at least there. Okay, we have to start there. If some of you want to start higher than 42 to 44%, that's fine. But we have to be at 42 to 44% minimum. So part of the reason we have to know is why. Why is that? Because at this point in time, we have no idea what price or what finance program we're going to be able to sell at. Okay. If we have to sit there and lower the interest rate and extend the terms out, that's going to come at a higher dealer fee or a merchant fee. Okay. So hypothetically, everybody here knows that at 7.9% for 180 months, you're looking at a dealer fee that's about 6 or 7%. So if you're starting at 42 and you're having to use that program, if you take, say, 7%, hypothetically, we'll just use 7. If you take 7 from 42, that means you're really at a margin of only 35. Okay. So that's the reason why we have to start at a higher margin first off, because we have no idea what finance program we're going to have to sell at. So we want to make sure that if we're selling at this margin, we have enough juice left in our deal, in our pricing, to be able to make it make sense and make it profitable towards the company. Okay. However, if you're at a 36% margin to start and you have to use that program, that's going to put your margin under 30%. So that's the reason why the margin is where it's at. That's why we have to start at this 42 to 44% margin. Margin is everything, guys and gals. It's everything. You guys have to start thinking about margin. Margin is everything. More margin allows us to be able to hire more people when we need them. More margin allows us to be able to sit there and order all the goodies that we need to be able to order for, so we can be better in the house and have better tools in the house for us. Margin sits there and makes it so we make more money on top of that. You know, when you start running these 42 and 44% margins, all of a sudden you're making $320, $330 a window versus lower margins when you're only making $120 or $130 a window. Well, hell with that. Again, everybody here is worth more money than what you're making right now. So the hell with that. We want to make sure that we're giving ourselves the opportunity to make more money. Okay, so to start out with more margin is there's a lot of reasons for it. On the flip side of it, though, also starting out with more margin allows us to be able to do things in the house, especially when we have larger number of units. You know, you're in a house and there's 22, 23, 18, 19 units, 20 units, whatever. And these people have already bought 2 or 3 windows from another company already. Well, depending on who that company is, if it was Lowe's or Home Depot or a place like Window World or someplace like that, more margin and that many units also allows us to be able to cut into that margin to quote unquote be able to show on paper how we can buy the windows back for them and then put our windows in their place so they don't feel like they lost out because they bought 2 or 3 windows from somebody else. Okay. Also, having more margin allows us to be able to buy back a certain amount of interest for a customer over time by being able to lower our margins a little bit to be able to show a different type of a savings on that end if we have to. So holding more margin allows us to be able to do a lot of things. But it all starts out with, we've got to make sure that we're starting out correctly at a bare minimum of 42 to 44%. Now, I do agree with Mark. I also agree with Norm over there in Salt Lake City. I know what Norm is going to do, and I don't even have to talk to his narrow ass, and I already know this. If that man worked for Renewal by Andersen for a year, he's going to go out there and he's going to start showing 50 and 55 and 60% margins to start out with. I assure you of that, because he doesn't know any difference price-wise, and he doesn't know any different. So because of that, he's going to start out there. If that's where you want to start, hey man, I'm good with it. As long as what we're doing is the things that we have to do to make sure we're not sounding like a bunch of carnival barkers when we're in the house. Okay. So I don't have a problem with that 50% plus. If Mark, if that's where you're wanting to be, and Norm, if that's what you're wanting to be. So
Harry, I'm just going to try it. I was trying, like, when I was telling you about that deal I sold last Friday, it ended up at 50. I don't know, maybe 52 or something like that. But it was because I did that whole $2,000 payment down. But to see the difference, I'm like, you know what, let's just go for it. And let's just do that. And it really didn't change anything for me. So going forward, I'm going to keep trying it. We'll see how it goes. But obviously 42, 44% is the minimum that we're looking at there.
Right. So a couple things that I do want to talk about, because we are talking about margins, is this. Nice job on Mark's part. Mark pitched a deal the other day. And when he pitched this deal the other day, he ended up selling it at a 52% margin because he asked for it. Okay. He went in, he did what I would call a masterful presentation, got the commitments and everything he was supposed to get, put a 52% margin in front of the customer. And the customer gets down in the close and says, absolutely, I'll go ahead and do that. That's a hell of a price. I feel comfortable with everything. And I think you did a good enough job and they built enough value in that the customer saw the value in that and sold that job at a 53% margin, 52% margin. Okay. I called Cody up and was talking to Kate the other day as well. I pitched a deal on Friday and I ended up selling that job at a 59.8% margin on that to a previous customer on top of that. It was a previous customer that bought windows over a little over a year ago, dual color. Par on the job with the dual color turned out to be $950. I hit that puppy at a 60% margin, dropped it down just a smidge so I could change the eyesight level on that just a hair. Customer asked me for about 2 or 3 minutes. I had to talk to him as why the difference in cost. But in the end, he was happier than he was as happy as a bug in a bake shop and was happy to sit there and pay it. So it turned out to be a cash deal on only 7 windows. But on that margin, hell, I made over $700 a unit on that. And the customer felt like that they got a good deal on that. I mean, the margin on that was $2,300 and something a unit for something that we own for $950. So, that was a hell of a price there. $1,400 and change, divide that by 2, was over $700 a unit. So I made a little under $5,000 on 7 windows. And the customer was all too happy to go ahead and pay it. Again, another one I can tell you would be Kate. Kate pitched a job a couple weeks ago, threw a 52% margin, 53% margin at the customer, and lo and behold, customer was all too happy to sit there and pay it because they felt that price that they were getting was a hell of a price. So the point is, we need to look at these this way. And we got to give ourselves a shot to sell them at these margins. But at the same time, too, we don't want to get greedy and walk away from anything either when we see an opportunity that we can still close. If we had to lower our margin a little bit, then that's okay too. Okay. But keep in mind, promotional pricing is whatever we make it out to be. And for a customer to sit there and agree to any price, if they believe that to be a fair and an honest price, which is why we ask the question the way that we do, and they say yes to that price we put out in front of them, then you serve that customer properly. You did a good job. Okay. The fact that we're able to sit there and take a lower margin is not our concern to be able to go straight to that. There's no way that we owe a customer that. We owe a customer to do the best job that we can do for them in that house at that time. And we owe it to ourselves to sit there and get a higher margin if we can do it. This is a for-profit organization. And for-profit is what we need to worry about here, not going straight to the cheapest price that we can go ahead and get to. We get to those kind of pricing there, and the challenge with that is we're not able to sit there and do or get the things that we need to do or get to help improve ourselves and get ourselves to buy these tools to make us better in a house. So it all starts with margin. So those are a couple things that I do want to go ahead and talk about, is that. And we're going to start talking about this more and more. Each one of our MSPs, when we start hitting these higher margin jobs, we're going to talk about this. We're going to celebrate those and say, hey, look, atta boy, way to go, atta girl, way to go. Hell, I want to shout out, even while I'm on the subject, to Shadow the other day. I was talking to Cody, and Cody let me know that Shadow went out to a house and, basically did his job, right? He goes out there on a one-leg deal. Customer didn't believe that they needed much of anything or needed to sit there and listen to him. Hey, look, just go ahead and measure these up. Give me a price. Shadow went out there and did his job. He went out there and first of all, he inspected something we never would have done in this case here. But Shadow starts showing everybody stuff, and all of a sudden, Mr. and Mrs. Customer or Mr. Customer was, holy shit, I didn't realize things were like this. I didn't know. He had a chance now to reschedule that to go back out there on Wednesday, right, Shadow? You're going back Wednesday?
Wife's still sick, so it's probably gonna be later on in the week.
Well, get out there with some chicken noodle soup and some good loving, damn it. Get her in that damn appointment. You know?
Yeah, and very glad to that too, because this appointment originally was wanting to cancel. Because they just said that, hey, talk to the wife and decide Windows isn't a priority. So I called them up to save it, went through the line about the inspection, giving a price that's good for a year, making sure that small problems now don't turn into big problems down the road. He agreed to that, yeah, Shadow showed up. Guy tried to kind of porch him at the house too, and was like, hey, you just take a quick look around the outside. I don't know if you want more details like you want.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, yeah, just go ahead and do your thing, and then got inside, and he ended up telling me from there, he only had about a half an hour, kept looking at his watch, and kind of talked a little bit, warmed up just a little bit, and then went into inspection, inspected the first floor, and then pointed out huge issues all the way around, security being a big one for his wife, who was upstairs sick, coughing, and so really dialed in on a lot of security issues as well as all the other stuff, and ended up getting about an hour and 15 minutes with him. And then by the end, he was like really pushing to just get a number. And because I had inspected but I hadn't measured, I had no way to calculate anything. So as we were kind of talking about next steps, he was really understanding of like, okay, to get a number, some things to go through, and that his wife really needs to be there because he didn't realize the amount of issues they had.
Well, and it was awesome because I think 4 or 5 of those windows, Cody was telling me, that didn't lock at all, correct?
One of them had like a really cheap plastic cam lock that he was like not stoked about. They had one that really wouldn't like lock all the way. The mechanism would get stuck in their laundry room. And then about 4 other ones were just really, really hard to actually cam shut. And I had him do it because I felt like I was gonna break it. So I told him that, I was like, I don't even want to close these because I feel like if I put too much pressure, I'm going to break them right now. Why don't you go ahead and do that so I don't break any of your windows?
Take them out now, both of them.
Well, in the moral of the story here, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that he went out there, he didn't give up, and he did his job. Okay. 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was, we as Apex would have went out there and just threw a number at this guy and ballpark this guy, or take a few measurements and whatnot, and threw a number at this dude. And chances are we'd have walked away from this without doing any business at all, and they wouldn't call us back. But Shadow went out there and did his job. And he gave up a little to get a little. He warmed up a little bit more. He earned himself 40 more minutes longer than what the customer was allowing for. He inspected enough in a way, and he asked enough good questions to find out that security was an issue. So when he went to go ahead and inspect the windows, then he started using this customer's answers in their inspection. Next thing you know, this customer didn't realize that their window's as bad as it is. Now all of a sudden wants us to come back out and to be able to talk. Now maybe there's going to be a deal there, maybe there's not. But the point is you went out there and we did our job in this case. And we didn't just sit there and give up like we normally would have in the past. Now we put ourselves in a better opportunity to be able to sell something now. So that's a nice job out there, Shadow. That's a nice job, dude. You won. Whether you get this deal or not, whether you sell it or not, you still won, though, because you did your job and you pointed out things that would have been something we never would have done before. So nice job out there, Shadow. That's a nice job, dude. It is. Okay. So anyway, so good job. So again, getting back into this, I want to make sure though, we understand 42 to 44% bare minimum is where we need to be at. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, what we want to make sure that we do is we want to make sure that we're showing fair market value for what our area says windows are supposed to be. Now, I don't know what everybody is looking up. I don't believe in all that Manta bullshit all the time, because some of the stuff I see, I think is just absolutely outrageous. Okay. What do I mean by that? Here in Phoenix, and I can only speak for Phoenix, so I apologize for everybody else's market. In Phoenix, there are 3 or 4 companies that sell triple pane windows here. Dreamstyle Remodeling is one, Capstone is another, DeBella is another, and once in a while we'll get Pella that'll do that as well. Once in a while, okay? For here in Phoenix, the average triple pane window before discounts is running in between $3,100 and $3,300 per unit. That's where we're at here. Now, I know for a 36 by 60 inch double hung window at Dreamstyle Remodeling, we opened up at $3,343 for that particular window. And everybody here, for the most part, is allowed to give a 30% discount in this town. So if you take 33% from $3,300, basically you're looking at $1,000 off. So that window is selling for about 2,300 and change. Best case scenario, white on white. So I would be looking for what fair market value is for your area, not what some magazine or Manta or anything like that is saying, unless that number is what you guys are seeing out there. Okay. So Cody, out there in Portland, what is the average triple pane window that somebody else selling at? What are they coming in price wise?
I mean, the one that's most comparable to us is DeBella's glass wing window that came from AMI, and most of the quotes for that are 3,000 to 3,200. What I've seen, and the most recent one is like 4 or 5 months ago. So,
okay, Seattle, what are you guys running into triple pane wise?
yes, agree with that.
Yeah.
Unless they
I mean, on average.
What are you guys running into out there, Kate, for a triple pane window cost from other companies? Do you run into it at all out there?
Not that much, but yeah, it's like 3,800. I mean, you know, there's Pella's triple pane, which is more than that, but most people don't even have triple pane quotes out here.
Yeah, here
It's-
people don't get.
They're always, it's mostly like, oh, triple paint's overkill. Most people haven't had a triple paint. It's rare.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to table this for a second because we're going to talk about that. Okay. Dallas, are you running into triple pane out there, Marky?
Yes and no. I mean, DeBella's out here selling, but yeah, they're offering like the triple pane, and then they're just using it as a way to get into the double pane. There's a couple other companies that are doing that there as well. So they're not really selling triple pane because they're overshooting them on purpose, like around 4,000 a unit, and then they are, you know, dropping it to like 2,000 a unit for a double pane.
That's still fine. Out there, Kim, Seattle or Salt Lake, what are you guys hearing out there for triple pane, bro?
That's the same, develop.
Okay, so what we know then is for fair market value for our area, we're going to be looking between about $3,100 and $3,400 per unit for a triple pane window. That's about right. That's what everybody here is telling me. Okay, so that would be what I would be showing, is what other companies are showing as well. Okay, from there, the next step would be able for us to show our 1 year price. That 1 year price, if it was me, this is where Norm and also to Mark, where you're going to have to mess with your margins a little bit. Okay, because if Norm and Mark are going to start out here at a 50% margin, if that's what you're going to do, then that means your 1 year price, you're going to need to probably be at about a 65% margin. Does that make sense? Because if you don't, then the price that you show when you're doing all this is gonna be all kind of messed up. So I should take that back and do this in order. I apologize, guys. I got ahead of myself because I'm a moron. Sorry. All right.
It's okay.
My apologies. So obviously, we're not showing this way. Fair market value should be step number one, price-wise. Number two is going to be your 1 year price. Number three will be where you're starting out on that 42 or 44%. Okay, so on our paper, the first price should be fair market value. The second price is the price that's going to be good for a year. And then the third price is where we're going to be asking them to buy, which based on whoever we're talking to here, can be anywhere from 42 to 50% plus. You just have to make sure that when you're using your 1 year price, whatever 1 year price, you're going to want to be about 15% higher than you are on what you're on the price that you're going to start. Okay, because again, we have to be able to show a tremendous savings. So hypothetically, if your fair market value for 10 windows is 33,000 and your 1 year price is, let's say, 24,000, then that means the price that we're showing them here should probably be closer to like 17,000. What we don't want is these two numbers to be real close together. You don't want this price that you're trying to close at 17 and this one here at like 18 or 19. There is no motivation for somebody to do something right away. Okay. Is everybody here up with me, or have I lost anybody?
Yeah, well, that's good. It makes sense. Terry, why right around 15%? Like, I understand why you wouldn't go lower than that, but why not show them like maybe 20-25% difference?
You can if you want to, but you just have to be at least 15% or so plus.
Okay.
At least. Okay. So let's do it this way. Let's take 10 windows real quick. Cody, do me a favor and crank a calculator open.
Yep, got it.
We're going to take 10 windows. Use a par of 800, Cody. Okay.
You want to do the job you sold, like the dual color and color one that you just sold? That
No,
part?
we'll just do a regular. We'll just do one at 800. Okay. So if we're doing 10 windows, at fair market value, we'll do here. Let's say fair market is 33,000. Okay. Now in my head, I'm going to start out with a 44% margin. So do me a favor, Cody, and take 44% margin on an $800 par. One window.
Oh, for one window, sorry. 44 margin, that's gonna be 1430, just to make it easy. 1449.
Okay, so that means for 10 windows, that's gonna be 14,390, correct?
290, but
Okay, we're fine here then. So this is gonna be what we're showing. This is our 44% margin here. That means on a 1 year price over here, I want to make sure I'm about $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, give or take. So here I would be showing a 1 year price of, let's just call it 22,000. Now, optic wise, here's what I have optic wise now. Optic wise, I'm $11,000 cheaper than fair market value on my 1 year price. But for my promotional pricing and in order to do business today, I'm still $8,000 lower here. Okay. So if I were to take 15% of 44, add 15% to that, that's 59%. So Cody, do me a favor. Take 800 and give me a 59% margin on 800.
59% margin. 1951.
So 1951, in this case here, that would be $19,510 is what would go here. So in this case here, I would probably bump that some more because I don't like this. So going back to what Jimmy was saying, probably a 20 to 25% margin higher than this here would be the better way to go. So going back to that one, Jimmy, you would be right on about the 20 to 25%, brother. Okay. But that's what I'm trying to do, guys and gals. What I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to show a significant savings from fair market value to our 1 year price. But at the same time, to do business today, I want to be able to show a good number here. The closer these numbers are together here, optic wise, there's no motivation for a customer to sit there and say yes. Does that make sense? Okay. Is everybody caught up with me here? Have I lost anybody at all? Okay. So that's what I'm looking for when I'm presenting price. I'm looking to go ahead and start with fair market, show a 1 year price, and then let's just move this here so I don't confuse anybody.
So you're taking 19 something and just put.
There. Now that would be everything in order as you're showing it on your price presentation form. Fair market value in this case is 33,000. 1 year price, which is going to be in this case here, probably closer to about 20 to 25% margin. So I'm just going to put 25%. And then start with the price that we're trying to close at, which is a 42 to 44% margin, putting us here. Optic wise, this looks good. This looks good here. We're giving a real number. We're showing that how much better we are because of the way we choose to go to market. And to go ahead and get their business today so we get more work in their neighborhood. This is a significant savings of almost $8,000 here. Okay. So this is where we're at for right now. So let's get back to what we tabled earlier, overkill. Kate brought that up earlier. The advantage that we all have as salespeople going into a house is we already know what our competitor is going to say about triple pane windows. The number one killer of triple pane windows is that it's overkill. Norm, when you were sitting there and pitching Renewal by Andersen, that's exactly what you were telling everybody. Out at Pella, that's exactly what they're telling everybody. Overkill, overkill, overkill. Well, here's why they're saying that. They're saying it's overkill because you're buying triple pane windows at this price right here. And then what they're doing is they're showing U factors and solar heat gains for double panes and saying, look, the U factors and solar heat gains are almost the same. You're spending more money though. So yes, that is overkill because you're not accomplishing much of anything other than reducing sound and add a little more security. Is it worth that difference in cost? In our case, we have to learn how to argue in a different direction. When somebody says, well, I don't really care for triple pane window because that's an overkill. Well, wait a minute, hold on. It typically is going to be overkill. You're right. Oh, shit. You know what? Everybody take a 30-minute break. Take a 30-minute break. I got to get right back with you. I've got to call somebody at 10 o'clock. David's buzzing me and tell me where the hell am I at. Take 30. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Oh, good.
I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to disconnect from here, Cody.
What's that?
I'm going to disconnect from here, buddy. Okay.
Oh, that's fine. Go ahead.
There's a number for triple pane.
You two separate recordings, or just leave it going, so it's all one. I can
Two separate, two separate.
There's no way, yeah.
All right, I'm going to turn off the recording from this right now, guys. I can just leave this on. Everybody just help me remember to actually start the recording again. Otherwise I might forget.
Yes,
That's good.